Big progress is finally being made in Congress. Over 200 members in Congress are urging House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer to pass a new bill immediately. Democrats are also joining and pushing for a new way to provide inflation relief. So watch until the end to learn how to receive your stimulus checks, everybody. Americans are looking for ways to help in the form of stimulus checks to fight the high gas prices and food prices. For some, state governments are offering special tax rebates. Many states have already passed legislation that will send money to citizens. Delaware officials said that they are planning to send $300 in direct payments to taxpayers in the state. It has been announced that the payments are part of the state's plan for using $1 billion surplus at a time when inflation is rising and gas prices are high. Lawmakers said they will introduce legislation within a week. A vote could happen next month. Officials say more than 600,000 Delaware residents are likely to receive these payments, which will cost $186 million. This new relief is not confirmed yet, everybody. And it has been confirmed that each Delaware taxpayer who filed a 2020 state tax return should have gotten a relief rebate of $300 beginning. Residents who have not filed a 2020 state tax return are eligible for the rebate. However, according to Forbes, instructions are anticipated to be announced by October 17th. You can also check your rebate status with the Delaware Department of Finance. There have been tax rebates sent out to citizens in the state of Idaho, United States, with these being issued to those individuals who are four-year Idaho residents for 2020 and 2021. Now, it is expected there will be roughly 25,000 rebate payments that go out on a weekly basis, as the tax refunds that are already being sent out to eligible residents. By the end of 2022, the Tax Commission expects to have issued more than 800,000 tax rebates for a combined sum of up to $350 million. Now, staffers wrote to Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. They stated, "We have crafted a legislation necessary to avert climate catastrophe. It's time for you to pass this. Our country is nearing the end of a 2-year window that represents a once-in-a-generation opportunity to pass some transformative climate policy. The climate and energy portion has remained the largest sticking point in negotiations. As Manchin has publicly stated, he wants to lower gas prices by increasing U.S. energy production. If you're going to have gas prices lower, produce energy, period," Manchin told reporters as he left the Senate vote. But for Democratic congressional staffers, passing more massive investments in clean energy tax credits to deal with the climate crisis is especially urgent. The letter also discusses about young staffers' fear of what will happen next if Democrats don't act to pass climate and energy measures.
20 years and reaching the age of 50. They pay a greater percentage of their salaries into this retirement system, and their annuity amount is calculated at a higher rate than other federal employees, recognizing the risks they take. Unfortunately, not all federal first responders can complete those 20 years of service. In cases where federal first responders become injured and are no longer able to complete the essential functions of their jobs, they can be placed in civil service positions that don't qualify for 6C benefits. Any federal first responder transferred to the FERS retirement system loses their eligibility to retire after 20 years of service, no matter how many years they've got in the system or how much they've paid into it. Additionally, the employee is not reimbursed for the higher contributions required of them to be in the 6C system. The years of service are credited as if the federal first responder who's injured had been in the normal 30-year retirement system for the federal employees. The First Responder Fair Retire Act offers a correction to current law and rights this wrong, authorizing federal first responders to stay in 6C retirement if they're placed in a position outside of that system after returning to work from a duty-related injury. The bill also allows those employees to receive a refund of their accelerated contributions should they be separated from service. The First Responder Fair Retire Act allows the federal government to uphold the retirement promise it made to its first responders. These first responders are Capitol Police officers, Secret Service agents, and other federal law enforcement officers and firefighters across numerous federal agencies. For example, Bob Beckley was a smoke jumper out west with the U.S. Forest Service. He parachuted out of a plane in 1985, and he landed in a tree in the Selway Bitterroot Wilderness area in Idaho, trying to stop a blaze. The tree's branches broke, dropping Mr. Beckley 80 feet and breaking his back in 5 places. He died twice before he could be revived and evacuated. After, thank God, his recovery, Mr. Beckley, 10 years into his firefighting career, chose to work for the Forest Service in another position. But the reward for his bravery and his injury and his service was his removal from the 6C retirement system. He watched his firefighter brothers and sisters retire with full benefits at the 20-year mark that he no longer qualified for. I want to also highlight the story of Justin Moore, U.S. Capitol police officer right here in the U.S. Capitol. He was severely injured by being beaten right here in this Capitol on January 6th. I heard firsthand from Justin and his colleagues about their heroism defending each and every one of us from a violent mob. Justin was beaten from behind with a blunt object, suffering severe concussions and contusions and several crushed vertebrae in his neck. In just a few weeks, Justin will undergo what is likely career-ending.
Biden recently pushed capping child care spending for families as a way to cut rising costs. There is one big thing that Manchin does support. That is tax hikes on corporations and assets being sold off by wealthy Americans. Manchin told reporters that he wants to raise the corporate tax rate hike to 25%. That tax on big businesses was slashed from 35 to 21% under the former president. Manchin is also still seeing an eyeing increase to the capital gains tax. Currently, capital gains assets like stocks or real estate are being sold off and are taxed at a far lower rate than income. For the ultra-wealthy, who derive most of their net worth from assets, that means their income is taxed at a lower rate than Americans, who are taking home a standard paycheck. Do you agree with this, folks, and do you think that President Biden should send out the fourth stimulus check sooner than later? Tell me in the comments down below if you agree. So we have a lot of good news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, SSI, and SSDI. Continue watching this video because you don't want to miss out on this. Many people are eligible to receive a new stimulus payment worth up to $400. There are new eligibility requirements that Americans have to meet in order to get this check automatically deposited into your bank account. So here's some good news. Democratic governor recently announced that legislation will fast-track a payment to all eligible residents. The governor, Jared Polis of Colorado, and the state's legislature proposed the Colorado Cashback Program, and it's going to provide residents with a $400 payment in just a few weeks. So, I think that states should do the same thing as Colorado and many states like California, because they are giving their residents stimulus checks and helping out the people in need of it the most. The announcement by Governor Polis comes amid a rise in inflation across the country, with a report from the Labor Department showing that inflation increased 8.5% compared to previous years, which is the highest increase in over 40 years. Governor Polis said in a statement people are paying more for everyday items like gas, groceries, and rent through no fault of their own. Instead of the government sitting on the money that Coloradans earned, we want to give that money back, and quickly as possible. According to announcements, the state will